And so now we're going to Illinois, and we're going to talk to Connie. Connie, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
How may we help you, Connie?
First of all, I attended your workshop this weekend, and I truly appreciate everything that you and your family have done. You are definitely an inspiration to others.
Thank you.
I don't know if you remember me and my husband. He called himself Bob.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes, I do remember.
We remember.
Just for the people out there understanding, he has an unusual first name. And when I looked at his name tag and asked him how to pronounce it, he said Bob. It was hilarious. Yes, I do remember that. All right, Connie, so how may we help you?
Well, the problem I have is 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I gave him an ultimatum. All along, I've been in contact with her. It's limited, and he said, I'm in contact with her every single day. And he was very smug and complacent about it, which was hurtful. And so I told him, I said, it's totally against all my morals. It was disrespectful to me and the children for him to continue his actions. And I told him, he asked if he's going to continue to contact her, that he needs to move out. If he wants to work on a marriage, then he has to stop talking to her. He said, I misunderstood their friendship. So I told him, I said, when you plan a future with them, when you tell them that you love them, you talk about intimate, contact with each other. He said it was not sexual. I said, that's not a friendship. And I said, you're going to have to decide if you want her friendship more than me. So he said, well, if you want me to move out. And I said, no, I'm not asking you to move out. I'm telling you it's your choice. So he had something that weekend, and he said, I'll move out next week. So, of course, 2 days later, I sent him a text, and I said, out of respect to the children, I don't want to ruin their Christmas. You can stay till the end of the holidays. So we went to your workshop, and I know that was probably not the right thing to tell him, that we needed, try to work it out. But I was so hurt, and this is going on for 18 months, and he constantly belittles me and, devalued our marriage as if it was not important at all. And so that's why I did that. But so now I'm in a place where I gave him an ultimatum, so I'm not sure what to do about the ultimatum now. Okay.
Did you, since the workshop, since it just ended last night, since the workshop, have you guys talked any about these things since then?
No, well, we talked about the workshop and different things that we have learned, but we did not talk about our relationship. Because I wanted it ended it on a happy note. I didn't, just in case it went there, I didn't want it to end badly. So I do know that we're going to have to address these issues this week.
What? I'm sorry. What was that?
She knows they're going to have to address them this week, the issues.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand you, Connie. Go ahead.
Right. So I know we're going to talk about it. He may have totally different thoughts. I know what he's dealing with right now. He's kind of stuck. He knows if he deals with his issues and what's happened, he's going to have to go there. He's going to have to deal with all the hurt and the pain or the consequences of his decisions. And because the children don't know anything, our friends, our family don't know anything, I think he's happy being in this place where he doesn't have to make a decision. So that's why...
Many people do that, Connie. We can actually call that the valley. When a person doesn't have to make a decision at all, like I can just kind of cruise through what I'm doing right now, and I kind of have the best of this world and that world, and don't have to make those decisions, we actually call that the valley. And so the ultimate question you're asking is what? The bottom line question here is what, Connie?
Well, when you give somebody an ultimatum, if you don't follow through with it, then they feel they can take an advantage of you and continue, like she's not going to follow through,
Right.
So I feel like I have to do something or say something because I did give him an ultimatum.
Right. And so your question is, do you follow the ultimatum? Is that the question?
Right. That is correct.
Okay. Maybe let me give you a couple of suggestions here. Ultimatums, sometimes you actually have to do that. When we talk about boundaries, which we really don't do in the workshop per se, that's something we talk about in other places. In the workshop, we're talking about how to understand. And I'm talking not to Connie now, but to everybody else out there. In the workshop, we help people to understand how did they get to where they are, how did they get to where they are, and how kind of a path forward if they go back out. And when people give ultimatums, I would agree, generally speaking, that Connie's absolutely right. If you say, this is the ultimatum, this has to happen, and then you do not enforce it, you do lose some degree of authority. Like, he or she's not going to do what they say they're going to do. But in a situation such as this, you have potentially a way to back up without losing credibility. Now, I say potentially because even though I got to meet you and Bob, I'll keep calling him Bob, okay? Even though I got to meet you and Bob, I don't know all the intricacies of what's going on here. But there's a possibility, particularly because of the fact that you just came to the workshop and we are in the Christmas holidays, to go to him and say, remember, I did modify it to say you could stay until after the holidays. I'm going to modify it just a little bit more because we went to the workshop, and that's this. We will revisit this the second week of January, or whenever you want it to be. I wouldn't make it very far out into the future. But first week might be a little too early. Second week, we're going to revisit this. And I may stick to my guns that if you're going to continue to do this till you move out. But I'm willing to let some time happen between now and then, because we just went to the workshop. They presented a whole lot of material, and it's too much to process all at one time.
Very much.
It takes a while to go through this. And so let's spend the next few weeks. We're going to be busy with the holidays. We're with the kids. And after we've both processed the things we've gone through, let's revisit this. Let's talk to each other. And I'm saying second week of January just by picking a date. Let's talk to each other then. And then based on where you are and based on where I am and the conversation we have and how open and honest we are, we can make a decision then as to whether I'm going to enforce the ultimatum or if we're going to do something different. Now, what I hope happens for you, Connie, is this. I noticed that he did participate. Of the 23 couples there, they were sitting in a place where I saw them very easily. He did participate. He seemed to pay attention. He listened, and he and I seem to get along really well. And not that that's the criteria, but if people aren't paying attention, if they're not accepting what we say, then they tend not to get along real well with me. What I mean is that we don't become enemies, but they tend to avoid me. He didn't avoid me at all. We actually had some conversations. So I'm hoping that what happens is in the next 2 or 3 weeks, as each of you process what went on in that workshop, that you can actually have that conversation. Now, what she said was we may wind up talking to each other this week, and that's fine if you want to have those conversations. But if it were I, and you make your own decisions, if it were I, even if you talk about it this week, I'd say, let's talk about it again after the holidays, and I may enforce this. Now, if he's saying, well, it's not physical, I didn't have sex with her, that's actually good. But I understand you're saying if it's emotional, it's still extremely painful.
Still can't be friends.
Absolutely. And you're right. It can't continue to be a friendship if you're going to put this thing back together. So that's my recommendation is, you can enforce the ultimatum, but you've got a way here to deal with this where that you can, without losing credibility, because of what's happening in terms of the holiday and the workshop, you actually can buy a little time on this. And if he makes some progress, maybe already, or in the next few weeks make some progress, then you may be looking at this a different way.
Right, because the intention behind the boundary, or as you're calling it the ultimatum, is, ultimately protect you, but also to restore the relationship and bring it back. And so if there's movement heading towards the restoration of the relationship, he's getting involved back in talking about the things, the aftercare for the workshop, just different things like that, then would you enforcing that ultimatum at that time really lead you towards your end goal, which is to restore the relationship, or would it end up pushing him further away? So,
one last question, Connie, and we really have to move on, so I'm sorry. One last question. Did you guys happen to sign up for coaching? Do you know?
I have not, but I do plan on.
Okay. I recommend that you get with one of our coaches, and before you make any more ultimatums or decisions about that, it would really be good to be able to process that with one of our coaches who can spend more than 5 minutes with you like we're doing right now and help you think those things through. I remember you well, young lady. I was impressed with you. And I hope and pray that things go well in your future, okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Connie.